Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lex, and I would greatly appreciate it if you want to support me, support the channel. If you enjoy this content, if you would consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. It supports me, it supports the channel, and it's free. Nothing I'm asking y'all to do is not free. Of course, I want to thank you guys who do always support the channel, comment on every video, like the videos the literal minute they come out. I see y'all. I appreciate y'all. Just know it means a lot. Today, we are going to be talking about I was going to say Married at First Sight. The Ultimatum, episode 7, season 3, episode 7. This episode is the changeover, and we also get back to the regular relationships. So let's just jump in. Scotty and Zena.
Up late texting, like, is it JR? Like, JR knew nothing about our trial marriage at all.
I was upset.
We begin with that. Now, Zena says that the trial marriage started out beautiful. She really had a great experience, liked, him and enjoyed their time together. Scotty said that he really wants to be married, all in all. And we know that, sir, you do not skip a breath by letting us know that you want to be married. He says that Zena says that he did allow her to show up the way she wanted to show up in the trial marriage. And I found that to be strange because I was like, what? I don't know, but last time I checked, he was very reactive when you tried to be yourself and have your own opinions. But okay. So she does state that after the guys' night, he completely changed and started accusing her of various things. Now, he chimes in, Scotty, and says, look, when my character is being attacked, I feel some type of way, unlike some people. And that's one thing about Scotty. He's always taking a little jab at somebody. He can never say things directly to JR's face, but he can take little jabs every minute. He says that Zena was the one that inserted pettiness into this relationship, which was unacceptable. Again, what? Okay. Now, JR chimes in and says, look, some stuff was probably said between the two of them, and maybe Petty Zay came out. So he was on what's his name, Scotty's side? I thought that was a weird comment. I was like, JR, why did you have to chime in and say that? Like, I don't know. Now, overall, he says that Zena helped him change his views on marriage and commitment because he realized how important it is to be on the same team. See, Scotty's idea of being on the same team is mindlessly agreeing with everything he says, giving him everything he wants, where he doesn't have to make any compromises on his end or listen to you. As we saw, he doesn't want to feel rejected by you having your own opinions on things. He doesn't want to feel gaslit when you try to explain your side of a situation. Yeah, sure, thanks, Scotty. So, Caleb and Arya.
Ready, and it's not because I view marriage in such a different way. It's just the reasonings. I was able to really solidify those reasons.
Caleb says he realized that he should step into the process and learn what he needs to improve in the relationship. At first, he was like really upset about it, really upset that his partner would bring him here. So he realized, let me actually come into this and figure out some things that I may need to improve with myself. Now, he says he did not come in looking to pursue anyone romantically, so it did allow him to show up as he is. He didn't feel really any pressure to be a certain person. Now, she says that Caleb is very patient and allowed her to feel her emotions without being judged, Arya. She also says that he's a great partner and would make a great person to be married to. Now, Mariah, she is not feeling this. She chimes in and she's like, okay, so could you see yourself pursuing Caleb in more than the trial connection? I feel like the insecure Mariah really came out. And she's like, well, I came with Scotty, and I love Scotty and he's my partner, but, Caleb has a lot of qualities that I would want to see in a partner or in a husband. Now we get some commentary from Nick. So Nick says that Nick and Vanessa and Dave, were immediately meeting, even though they had a good connection. Now, Vanessa, has also been online, or was it Dave? One of the two of them has been online implying that behind the scenes, it wasn't all that it seemed with Nick. You can extrapolate what you want to extrapolate from that, but they have been saying that there was more reasons not shown. And now Nick is saying that Vanessa and Dave were meeting up immediately. Either way, something happened there that we don't know about. So Nick lets us know once again that he got set off by Sandy and JR kissing. And Zena chimes in and is like, what? What? Now JR decides he's going to give his take.
It felt like a real marriage. She's a total package. She's got a great head on her shoulders. She's confident. She knows what she wants out of life.
That they came in with no boundaries. They didn't discuss anything specifically. And Zena's like, yeah, sure. But at the same time, I wanted to see what you would be willing to sacrifice for this relationship. That's fair enough. I mean, I think both sides are fair. I will say with this season, I feel like we didn't really see a lot of explaining boundaries, where maybe I'm imagining this, but I feel like in previous seasons, there was more discussion about what was acceptable. Can you hold hands with a person? Should you sleep with them? Should you both sleep on the couch? Like, you know, what is acceptable to you and your partner? Whereas I don't feel like, especially with this couple, I feel like we got nothing in terms of what expectations were. So JR feels like he and Sandy's relationship has been judged and no one knows what went on behind the scenes. Meaning what, JR? What went on behind the scenes that was so deep between you and Sandy, besides you being balls deep in her? Excuse me. Anyway, what do you mean? So Nick says that nothing is wrong with their behavior, but it still hurts. I didn't agree with that. I didn't agree with that, because I think that Sandy and JR were getting into the physical territory of things. And again, I guess if there was no real discussion of boundaries, but I don't know, for Nick to say there's nothing wrong with that. No, there is definitely something wrong with your girlfriend being so quick to get physical with another man. And again, Nick has his own sets of problems. I'm not a Nick fan. Nick gives me very eerie vibes, but still, there's also issues with Sandy and how quick she was to jump in head first. So JR talks about his marriage with Sandy being the total package. You know, he met her mom. She even invited him to Christmas dinner. And I was like, excuse me? What do you mean? Like, what is this? So he says that Sandy is the best active listener he's ever seen in his life. He felt listened to and understood. Now, Sandy denies communicating with Nick.
Legal to you, and that's like a deal breaker, then why the fuck did we come here? We have an emotional connection more so than anything.
And that's far more risky to me than you having a physical.
Nick tries to bring up again, well, I don't know, like, everybody talks about me crashing out and going in and talking to Sandy, but it's like, I was not the only one. Sandy denies it. Sandy denies saying that she missed Nick. And he's like, really? He's like, really? She goes into it and says, look, you were blowing up my phone every single day. Like, you came to the apartment, you did all this stuff. She does eventually admit that she did say she missed him, which again, these two are so weird. These two are so weird. Now, as she's explaining this, Nick in the background is like, drama, drama, drama. She's like, drama? Oh, these two are toxic. These two are toxic. So Nick is like, look, any man would freak out knowing that I'm living 2 floors below my girl being with another man. Like, period. Anyone would freak out with that. Now, somebody asks, well, why are you not confronting JR? Like, you're saying a lot of stuff into the air, but why are you not confronting JR? Fair enough. Nick is clearly scared of this man. Caleb chimes in and is like, look, Nick came in with an apology to Guys Night while JR was constantly taking jabs at everyone. I'm like, Caleb, you got a lot. Why are you chiming in right now? Caleb, you need to be honest about your feelings for Arya. I don't know. Some of y'all is talking about, oh, it's not a romantic connection. Please miss me with it. Because if your man was looking at another woman like the way Caleb was looking at Arya and holding hands with her and looking into her eyes like that, you would think he had romantic feelings. Let's not start. That man definitely had romantic feelings. Like I said, do I think he wants to be with Arya outside of the experiment? No. But I think he caught himself catching feelings, maybe not on purpose, and he doesn't want to be real about that. Anyway, JR is like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, Be so for real. Now, Sandy is like, look, Nick paid almost no attention to me beforehand and then love bombed me throughout the process. I can see that. That I 100% see that Nick clearly kind of does his own thing. You know, maybe he's in his little world with his art, doing his thing. And then in this experiment, he done crashed out, okay? And realized, oh my God, I'm about to lose her. And so I'm going to rev everything up. And that love bombing is very scary. So Sandy overall is like, I don't get why y'all are coming at me and JR so hard. Like, what is the difference between Arya and Caleb? And like, why was Mariah able to stay so level-headed through the whole thing, unlike Nick? So anyway, they leave out and we get to the new trial marriages with the original partners. We start off with Sandy and Nick, and immediately Nick is in full love bomb mode.
Your experience here so far, and it's clearly been really difficult.
Well, it's also not in my head though, baby, because like I said this to you, like I don't think you kissing him was wrong.
He says he felt broken without her. He's like, look, baby, we have the most spiritual, deep connection of anyone I've met in my entire life. You know, the way you interacted with JR, that's how you used to interact with me. You have to understand that's the reason I'd feel that way. You know, he says yet again, I don't feel like anything was wrong with you guys kissing. I just don't want your lips or your body on someone else. Sandy talks about how possessive it feels. And once again, Nick, as I watch Tammy Talks, I love her channel, and she calls this show F Around and Find Out. And that's how I feel when it comes to Nick. Nick, you effed around and you found out, you found out that, again, your ego is so big. You didn't think that she would ever want somebody else. And I'm not excusing Sandy and her behavior, but at the end of the day, you really, like, your ego was up here and you were brought down here when you realized that your partner's not happy. And I'll be honest, Nick doesn't give me the kind of person that really listens very well, even if Sandy does try to approach issues. I could definitely see Nick being the kind of person who just starts to freak out and play the victim and start crying. And if that's the case, I just feel like it's very hard to get through and communicate with him. He's like, look, I'm not trying to love bomb you. It's just that I'm so in love with you. And again, Sandy has told us that Nick doesn't act this way typically. So yes, sir, you actually are love bombing her. But he says overall, like, look, I will never make you feel this way again. And if this shit continues, I will leave. I will leave because you don't deserve that. You know, being with you makes me feel like the luckiest man in the world. And Sandy, I'm gonna be honest, Sandy is clearly someone that is easily misted, so it doesn't surprise me that Sandy kind of fell back into it already. It doesn't surprise me that Sandy didn't really stand her ground. We saw how fast she got enamored with JR. Sandy seems to be like someone who gets enamored very quickly, and I assume that, again, she and Nick have this repetitive process where they, you know, they go through this. So, Arya and Scotty.
That attraction wasn't like reciprocated on your end?
I feel like for me, like off the bat, no. I feel like the emotional connection that I built with him throughout the process, that made me feel like.
Arya says that she wants to go back to how the beginning of their relationship was. He's like, okay, well, you work weekends and you live in a different city, so what's the point if we're not sharing? And then again, I find it very interesting that this conversation about her living in a different city is so one-sided. And I'm curious why Arya never brings up, so hey, like, why don't you move? Like, why can't you come to me? You know? He says, and they do talk a little bit about like careers, finances. He says that, you know, he did at some point, I'm trying to remember because I haven't read it in my notes, but I think he said at some point he did care a lot about his career, his finances, like all of those different things. But right now, that's not his main priority. Career is not the main and only priority for him at this point anymore. And I'm like, okay, all right. But he does say that they got along a lot in the beginning of their relationship and spent a ton of time until they had that fight week 3. And I'm just wondering, like, why do you have it in your head that in the 3rd week of your relationship, you had a fight? Why are you keeping score like that? Again, it's the keeping score to weaponize it. You know, we got along great, but remember that fight we had week 3. And also, like, again, like, they said they spent a lot of time in the beginning of their relationship, but they've never lived together or anything like that. So I'm just curious a little bit more about that dynamic. Now, Arya's like, well, one thing I did learn from the trial marriage is that I love that you plan dates. You know, Caleb, and that's not really what he did. So I really do love the fact that you plan dates. I guess she appreciates the cryotherapy and the hot air balloon. Arya says that she feels that Caleb was attracted to her, and that's why Mariah was threatened. Now, he's like, okay, so did you have attraction to him though? She says again that it wasn't immediate, but over time there was a built attraction. Overall, she says, look, like, I really want us to talk with love to each other. I cannot handle your tone. And that's a big thing about Scotty, is his tone. He has a very aggressive and dominating tone, and it's like just so unpleasant to interact with. In terms of Caleb having feelings, as I said, I am still in the boat that Caleb was catching feelings. Just because you start catching feelings doesn't necessarily mean you want to fully leave your other relationship. You're a cheater and you're a horrible person. I do think Caleb is very passive. I think, again, as I've said before, I don't think Caleb wants to be with Mariah. I think he makes a lot of this commentary about how, you know, Mariah has never explored anyone else and she's young and she's never been with anybody as a mask, because that's what he actually feels, you know? So I think Caleb needs to learn to speak up. But yeah, I think he caught feelings. You know, he can lie about it all he wants. Okay. So Mariah and Caleb. So Mariah's like, so what have you been up to? You know, like, what were you doing with Arya during, you know, the trial marriage? You know, she's like, after the experience, I after everything Arya said, I do want to understand if you guys have more than a friendship. He says, look, like, there was no deeper connection there. It was just patience and understanding. Now, she says, look, like, I feel that somebody here is not being truthful, because why did she say that you have the qualities that she wants in a husband? He's like, well, don't you feel the same way? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, okay, so does Arya have the qualities that you want in a wife? And he's like, well, some. Look, I think Mariah is very insecure. I do. I think Mariah is really trying hard to extract, in the same way Scotty is. I think Mariah is doing exactly what Scotty is doing, where Scotty's like, there is no heterosexual man that could ever not be attracted to Arya. I think Mariah is doing the same thing. And it's like, at the end of the day, yes, these two built a connection. It doesn't mean they want to leave the other one. Now, I will say this. I think that Mariah is kind of looking for answers as to what she can do better. And I feel like with Caleb, we didn't really get a lot from him. I feel like Caleb is one of those people we don't really get a lot. So I can understand the frustration there of being like, okay, so what did you find? What kind of qualities did you like about Arya that maybe we can bring into our relationship, or that, like, maybe I could improve upon. However, I think Mariah, like, wanting him to admit, like, oh yeah, we have a romantic connection and we want to be together. It's like, girl, like, no. Do I think he wants to be with you? No. But I do think that Mariah is very insecure, and I think that she's fishing for something that isn't there, right? So Zena and JR, they're in the apartment kissing. She's like, miss you. You know, then she's like, did you watch this? Like, I think talking about his lips. She's like, they've been all over Sandy.
Like, I apologized. It happened. We kissed twice.
So,
We caught feelings. It's part of the experience.
do you have feelings for Sandy? Do you currently have feelings?
Like, did you watch those? She starts crying about how she found out about the kiss. You know, she feels very overwhelmed. And I guess that's true. That's the first time Zena really heard about the kiss was in that, the recoupling or whatever. So she does ask, did anything else happen? He's like, well, we kissed twice, and the second time she came on to me. Twice? Because we on the show saw that you kissed more than twice, but it's very clear that the two of them agreed to tell the story that they only kissed twice. When realistically, we literally saw them kiss at least 3 times or more on this show. But they both tell their partners that same story. So obviously, JR and Sandy, I'm on to you guys. You guys corroborated that story. Congratulations. He says that behind closed doors, all they did was cuddle. Sure. Now he says that he did catch feelings and that is part of the experiment. So she asks, like, do you have feelings for Sandy? And he's like, no, we're broken up. I'm probably not leaving with her. Probably? What do you mean you're probably not leaving with her? Probably. Yeah. See, this is the frustration. Because JR is another one who's just not being upfront. I don't know, y'all. This is why this experiment is not it for me. So, Scotty and Zena. Zena wants him to see what she wants from the trial marriage. She really wants him to understand what qualities that Caleb had, that they could possibly bring into their relationship.
Trying to explain yourself. Sometimes it didn't feel like you cared. It felt like you cared about defending yourself more than trying. I didn't
Let me
say
finish.
that.
Let me finish.
Can you not do
But I feel like, because I feel like whenever I'm trying to explain something to you, you want to defend yourself. And I don't, if you want to defend
I
yourself,
just never
defend
said
yourself.
friendship. I never said it.
You're not letting.
So she says first, that her and Caleb had a lot of back and forth banter. She talks a lot about that, that they had this banter. They could laugh together. She's never laughed as much with anyone as she's laughed with him. Now he questions, like, okay, so do we have banter? Like, do we do that? Do we go back and forth in our relationship? It sure don't seem like it, Scotty. I don't ever see you guys laughing, smiling, nothing. It's always serious, serious, serious with you. You're always upset. Now, Scotty feels that Arya got lost in it all with Caleb because it didn't come with the baggage that they have in their relationship. Sure, 1 point for Scotty. A broken clock is right twice a day. Of course, everyone in this experiment that went in head first and had a great time, of course. It's easy to like somebody because, yeah, it doesn't have the baggage. You don't know them. You're not living together. It's not real. It's the fun and the thrill of just this fake relationship, essentially. So, of course. Doesn't change the fact that you need to change some things about yourself, though. So, once again, he talks about how they've never lived together. They've never spent every night together. So this really will be the test and the first time that they've ever done that. So she wants someone who wants to see the areas in which they can do better. He does say that he had now he talks about his connection with Zena, and he's like, I did have a connection with Zena and a physical attraction. And she's like, okay, so was there a romantic connection between you two? He's like, well, I wouldn't have chosen her if I didn't think that there was a possibility of something else happening. Well, she keeps saying that, and it's like, well, Zena don't like you, Scotty. The way you blew up, ain't nobody turned on by that. Now, he says once again that he does not buy that she and Caleb only had a friendship. She tries to explain that she never said that. She never said that it was only a friendship. He cuts her off yet again. Scotty's favorite thing to do when someone is explaining the truth to him rather than the false stories he wants to run with is to cut them off. And he starts to say that she never lets him express his feelings. She never lets him talk. He can never say what he wants to say. And I'm like, the audacity. Oh, but this is her king, I guess. So Mariah and Caleb.
A big part of this whole thing was just like kind of having fun too, right? That was the thing. You're serious all the time.
I'm not wanting to drown you, Caleb.
They're at dinner, I think. Now, Caleb feels that that Mariah is specifically looking for something wrong with the connection with Arya. I do agree with that. She says, look, you always make me the villain whenever I want to talk about our relationship. I can agree with that, probably. It does definitely seem like Caleb skirts around issues and doesn't really ever want to have deep conversations. Now, he says, okay, so do you want to like check in monthly or something about our relationship? Like, I don't know, like, and then she kind of makes a face where she's not feeling it. And he's like, okay, well, I can tell that you're not feeling that. She's like, okay, so how about setting the expectation in a conversation that we're just talking as friends? We're just talking as friends. We're not fighting. This is not like dramatic. He's like, I'm gonna be honest. No offense. That's really awkward. I kind of got where he was coming from though, because I feel like it is kind of awkward to be like, okay, we're here at dinner and we're talking as friends. And I feel like I'm not so sure why she was not liking the idea of checking in monthly. I mean, that seems fine to me. I know plenty of couples who specifically will have a date night, not all of their date nights necessarily, but they'll have at least one date night a month where it's like, let's talk about our relationship. Let's talk about how we feel. Let's talk about everything going on. So not so sure why she was so kind of opposed to it, but okay. Now, once again, Mariah feels that Caleb is not being upfront. And it's like, girl, let it go. Even if he caught temporary feelings for the girl, he clearly doesn't want to be with Arya. It's not like he's texting Arya every day. It's not like they're secretly meeting up. Like, let it go. Like, okay. Talk about y'all's relationship. Why don't you ask him a different question? Why don't you frame the question differently? Like, hey, what do you think you learned from the trial marriage that we can bring into our relationship? You know what I'm saying? Like, frame these questions a little differently. All right. Now, Sandy and Nick. We see them cooking in the kitchen. Sandy lets us know in the confessional that she and Nick have not been physically intimate since the experiment.
I mean, sex is important.
It's very important.
And I think we need to get back there.
Well,
She said that she went into this so fast with JR and everything, and she's just not sure how she's feeling about everything. So she wants to kind of take it slow, sit in that, and figure it out. Okay. However, they do kiss in the kitchen eventually. So Zena and JR. She asks, they're getting their nails done, and she's asking him, so what's an example of a risk that you can't take as a married man? Because I guess there's certain things he feels like once you're married, it can't happen anymore. He's like, well, probably up and moving if I get like a good job opportunity, things like that. You know, he says, I wouldn't want to put my wife and my kids through turmoil.
Make sure she's okay and comfortable. I wouldn't want to put her through turmoil or our kids through that. You know how I was raised.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd want them to be comfortable at home. I'd want to be sure that I can provide that for them. And right now, I don't feel like I'm at that spot. JR, let's be honest, JR. You don't want no kids and you don't want no marriage, okay? I just feel like this is so crazy. JR clearly gives me that he's not interested in that life. And that's okay. It's okay to be at his age or at any age, if we're being honest, and want to go out and want to up and move if you get a chance, or, you know, things like that. But I just feel like Zena, is there. Like, she wants that, and he clearly doesn't. So let her go. Stop stringing her along, because you're not going to do that. Let her go and let her find somebody who does want that life. Now, she says the point of a marriage is to have a partnership. You know, she wants to be able to figure things out together, make decisions together. And he says, look, I know you want the marriage, the husband, the security, the ring on your finger. He says he did come in loving her, still does. She's the best girlfriend he's ever had, but he caught feelings for Sandy. And that's that on that, okay? He's definitely not about to make a move with you now, Zena, now that he knows he likes another woman. And that should also be a red flag to you, sis. Like, my man is still into another woman. So, Scotty and Arya, they're making sushi and they're like flirting. She says she's excited to live together for the first time. Scotty says that, you know, apparently that he would be receptive to the fact that she liked the calmness that Caleb brought. So he's trying to implement that into the relationship. So overall, they're excited to see where things go. And Scotty claims he's going to change and become more calm. Aye. Nick and Sandy. We come into them in their bedroom, and Sandy is literally in the bed crying.
Do you understand that you speak up real quick when you're mad, though?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe there's a...
And Nick walks in and is like, are you crying, babe? Babe, oh my God, babe, what's wrong? Babe, I love you. Oh my God, you're my princess. Babe. And I was like, yo, is she crying because she misses JR? Does she miss JR? I think she misses JR. Anyway, she says this week was a lot. She says she's been trying really hard to keep it together and everything's just kind of falling apart. So he says, look, you don't have to. You don't have to do that. You can feel. I'm here for you, baby. This man definitely looked up cute statements to say to your girlfriend to make her feel good. What to say to your girlfriend when she feels sad. This man sounds like a fucking, excuse the cussing. This man sounds like a poetry book now. Like, sir, you watched one too many rom-coms. Now he says that he feels that she would be less angry if she spoke up when she was sad. Okay, fair, 1 point. She says that overall, though, that he is her home and her family, and he feels really good being next to her. All right. So Caleb and Mariah. Kayla, they are talking yet again about this topic.
I don't know how to get back on track with you. Will there ever be a moment where you just like naturally come to me with like a hug?
I'm a lot quicker on coming back together when I feel like the actual...
She says she doesn't feel like he tries to understand when she expresses certain things, and it causes friction. She says like he'll take things completely one way and then he'll shut down. And she feels like overall it is really hard to get through to him. And again, I feel like I can see that in Caleb. Look, Mariah is obnoxious and yes, but I do feel like in Caleb, I see that. Caleb really doesn't seem to give much, and it doesn't really seem like he likes to have conversations about anything. Even with this couple, since they've gotten back, we haven't seen them discuss. We have not seen Caleb and Mariah sit down and discuss, okay, this happened in the trial marriage, and this is what I want to bring into our relationship. Like, I don't know. Like, So the couples all meet up, and immediately JR and Nick realize they have the same tattoo.
Sorry.
Is that new?
Yes, you got
I
it
got
here.
it while I was here.
Oh, shit.
But it's the wrong tattoo.
That is so
That's
crazy.
wild.
But then he's probably trying to copy off of me because he knows how much Sandy loved being.
Remember the wrong tattoo that Nick sent the other day? Look, Nick, you're not fooling me. You want Sandy to like you. You saw JR had that tattoo and you got it because you thought that would make Sandy like you. I'm on to you, Nick. JR is like, look, he can try to replicate me all he wants, but there's only one. And you know what? For once, JR's cockiness, I was kind of standing with it. Because how in the world do you send the wrong tattoo that happens to be a tattoo that the other guy has? That's weird. You was definitely on that man's IG scrolling in like, what tattoos he got? What can I get? Nick, you're not fooling me. Okay. JR and Sandy, they go sit down, meet up for the first time since the changeover.
You have to trust your gut.
I don't want to make an emotional decision.
Now, he says he liked how Sandy listened to him, and he told Arya that, so that I guess they can bring that into their relationship. So she's like, are you making her breakfast like I told you to do? And he's like, no, but I do put the toilet seat down. I'm like, damn, how this man living? Toilet seat up, don't cook nothing. Okay. Now, he feels that they had a deep connection, but the way that Zena painted it from their conversation made it seem like they were just friends. So he's upset that Sandy didn't tell Zena that they actually have a deep connection. Which, again, this man literally wants to be with Sandy. And he wanted Sandy to literally essentially tell Zena, yeah, me and your man have a good connection. So she said that she tried to protect Zena in the conversation. She didn't feel like it was her place to go in deeply and that it was something that they needed to address after the fact, or they needed to address when they talked about it. And I kind of understand that to a level. I don't think Sandy should have lied per se. And I'll be honest, I don't really remember this conversation. But at the same time, JR is acting like he wanted Sandy to basically say, yeah, we have a romantic connection. We really like each other. We have really deep feelings. Sorry, he might leave. Like, this man really wanted an out and wanted Sandy. Okay. He's like, well, I don't know. For me, like, were we playing house? Like, was this for real? Is this genuine or not? Like, I'm starting to question everything. And she's like, well, everything was genuine for me. Like, I don't know. He's like, well, I feel like the spark is still there. Like, Now, He says in the confessional he's been with Zena for a while, but he and Sandy want the same things out of life. He can see her as a life partner. What does that mean? What does that mean? JR, you've been giving us that vague statement the literal entire show, that they want the same things. What are those same things? What is it that Sandy has that Zena doesn't? Because the only thing that he's really mentioned is that she's a good active listener. All right. Anyway, Nick and Zena. So they sit down and have a conversation, and he apologizes for the energy at the changeover towards JR. She realizes that they were the only couple that crossed into the physical, Sandy and JR. So for her, she didn't realize that. Now she's like, I heard anyway that the first kiss, like, you know, he had went in, but the second kiss, Sandy went in for it. And you see the wheels turning in Nick's head like, second kiss? Another kiss? All right, back to the apartments with Sandy and Nick. So he's like, is there anything you want to tell me? He got attitude. He not happy. She's like, is there anything else that you would want to tell me that you didn't tell me about the experience? She's like, oh, the second kiss. Well, I didn't really want to tell you because of how you reacted to the first kiss. He's like, okay, so did you go in for it then? Because I heard you went in for it. She's like, I mean, I guess.
Babe, I love you, and I know that you're really fucking pissed at me, and I should have told you just the second we moved back in together, just lay it all out.
No. Like, I was fully sure that I was.
So these two really corroborated, JR and Sandy. They corroborated to tell both of their partners that they only kissed twice. That's diabolical. I ain't gonna hold you. Now, Nick, at this point, is fuming. I actually thought this man was going to get violent. He was fuming. He's like, that's crazy. That's crazy how you treat me when you're upset. And she's like, okay, like, we were in the trial marriage. We were broken up. And again, I kind of got to agree with Sandy. You brought her here to be in a trial marriage with someone else to prove that she wanted to be with you. And now you can't handle that. Yeah, I kind of got to agree with her. Now, she goes over to, like, put her hand on it. He's like, don't touch me. I'm like, oh. He's like, I need to be left alone for a while, okay? I want to be left alone for a while. And he just leaves. He just heads out. He goes outside to vape. And he's sitting on the corner, mad as heck. So he comes back and says, look, I don't want to be around you right now. I don't want to talk with you right now. He's like, when were you going to tell me this? And she's like, after filming? And he's like, when we were engaged? I'm going to be completely honest with you. If you were okay with them kissing once, why is 2 kisses too much? Like, I don't know, should Sandy have told him? Yeah, I do. But at the same time, it's like, if you were okay with 1, why wouldn't 2 be okay? And also, in this episode, Nick was like, I don't think it's wrong that you guys kiss. Now all of a sudden he has a problem with them kissing? Yeah, girl, run from this man. Anyways, if you made it to this point in the video, that means you liked the video, so I would greatly appreciate it if you would support the channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Helps to get the videos out there, inspires me to keep creating. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please only talk about episode 7 in the comments, and we will have the episode 8 review up tomorrow. Bye!